fallout, smoke, women crying for their sons because their sons are not, Romans killing riotous groups that are rising up. Free Judea, free our people, autonomy for Israel. You had Herod, an Edomite, and his dynasty. Herod's ruling, killing any potential threat, any potential Messiah. Then you had the Pharisees and the Sadducees, that we learn from Josephus are not Jews by birth. No.
Brothers and sisters, they are there. We are not lost. We are scattered. We are original Hebrew.
Let's go! All praises be to the Most High God. Yeah, I say it.
I was opportune to meet my grandparents, whom from childhood had always made us to understand that we are one of the lost tribes of Israel. Okay. So from my grandmother.
Right. Now look at these. Yeah, I'm telling you, I gotta show y'all. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Just look for yourself. And this is the creme de la creme. All praises be to the Most High, y'all. Everything we've been through, y'all, the Most High is going to retribute it on all the nations that have had a hand in the oppression of his apple, the apple of his eye, his chosen people, his beloved, his fervent lover, his only begotten. They're going to have their part in the lake of fire. You see them tormented by some kind of creature. I don't even know what that even is, y'all. Judgment in chains. He that led into captivity shall go into captivity. All praise to the Most High, y'all. It said, thou that dwells in the clefts of the rock. Whoa. I know a lot of y'all know about the Caucasus Mountains. Let's just let the words speak. Let's go to verse 4. Though you exalt yourself as the eagle, and though you set thy nest among the stars. What's up, Zion Dynasty? This is your favorite dreaded Israelite, the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. JB Zion. Y'all show me some love, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Zion Dynasty, where your boy is back in the fringed up flesh, about to hit y'all with another banger of glory, honor, dominion, power, majesty, world without end, to the mighty one of Jacob, the holy one of Yasharal, the redeemer of Zion, the resurrector of the 12 tribes of Israel, that faithful father, that loving husband, the defender of his children, who has not forgot about the apple of his eye, has not forgot about the covenant that he swore to our forefathers, has not forgot about the seed of Abraham, even Yitzhak, even Yaakov, the resurrector of our family, y'all. All praises be to the Most High Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And family, first I gotta say peace, love, blessings, and Israelite power to the kings and queens of this earth, all my Israelite brothers and sisters. Y'all, we about to get into it in this video. Y'all so excited that y'all probably can hear it in my voice. But before I go too far, I just gotta say, also, peace, loving blessings to all those Gentile sojourners of Zion, those that are not lost in the sauce. So y'all, we're gonna jump right into it on this video. I'm not gonna do as long as the intro I usually do. It's so much information I gotta share with y'all. So, y'all, there is a lot going on in the news. There is a lot with this Ukraine, with Russia, a lot of prophecies coming to pass, and I have not been able to just go into my passion, which is that history, and connecting the history with the prophecy that a lot of y'all love. About 90% of y'all have probably come to this channel from all of the history and the prophetic edge that's known as Zion Dynasty, y'all. So this is gonna be that type of video. So y'all like, comment, share, subscribe. We're gonna go through Russia. I'm gonna talk about Ukraine. I'm gonna talk about Khazaria 2.0. I'm gonna talk about Al-Andalus 2.0, the resurrection of the Moorish Empire. But you have to know that history to understand what was going on when our people ruled. Now that was from 711 CE to 1492, almost 1,000 years, but not, because it was a dress rehearsal of what's about to go on. The Most High is unifying the Israelite diaspora, unifying that entire African continent through the identity of us being the Moorish Israelites. Y'all, this is so key. This is strategic. It's the Most High reconciling his family through the linchpin of the history that connects all of the continent. You got Africans that are predominantly Islamic, specifically in the northern aspect of the continent. North Africa is known for being Islamic. You have a lot of Israelite communities that practice Torah, but you also have Christianity. You have a lot of Islam. So this history is what connects all of it together. The Moorish history of us fleeing persecution from the Christian North, adopting Islam through force, and then some of the remnants of the African tribes still preserving Torah. So y'all like, comment, share, subscribe. We're about to go through that history. I'm gonna bring up the CDC. I'm gonna allude to the Jewish Encyclopedia. I got some Harvard sources for y'all. So y'all, and also if y'all want to support this work, I'm gonna put that Cash App up, P.O. Box. You already know all that good stuff. So family, we are about to delve into this stuff, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about what's been going on. A lot of y'all might not be aware of the cause of all this Russia-Ukraine stuff, y'all. It has a lot to do with our history. Esau, they get their power from the dragon, y'all. We talked about that great red dragon, that royal family of Edom, those Rothschilds. Now, those Rothschilds have a lot of power. I'm gonna show y'all a quick clip that we went through when we talked about the Federal Reserve, going into the power that this family has.
Amazing video. Today we're finding out about one of the most famous and wealthy families in the world, the Rothschilds. Originating in Germany and France, the Rothschild family have been a significant banking dynasty since the 1760s. Throughout the 19th century, the family could claim to have the largest private fortune in the world, and they developed their banking empire across Europe. At one point, they were said to control half of the money in the world.
Have now been downloaded and shared around the world.
The Rothschilds controlling the climate to create natural disasters they can pay for to own the cities, man. Be careful.
The Rothschilds are an old Jewish banking family from Germany. Even now, they are at the center of conspiracy theories spread on...
So family, I'm telling y'all, they levy the price of gold. They determine the prices of the money, the worth of the money in various countries through their central banking system. They have empowered NATO, America, right? Because Edom or Esau is that last ruling empire. I'm gonna show y'all that clip where the rabbi, the Jewish rabbi, says America is this Edom that is being used as the last ruling empire, getting their power from the dragon. Let's check that out.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Of the Persian, meaning that Rome, Edom, America, that's going to be the last one standing. Meaning that Rome, Edom, America, that's going to be the last one standing. Meaning that Rome, Edom, America, that's going to be the last one standing.
So family, we know that Esau is the end of the world. Edom is that last ruling empire. We know before the coming of Yahushua, he regathering and having a grace to reconcile all of our people. This is going on now with the angels and the Most High using his leaders, using Zion Dynasty, using Teo, using a lot of these Israelites to reconcile our history and unite us. This is the spirit of the ambassador, the spirit of Eliyahu that comes to turn the hearts of the fathers back to the children and reconcile our history back together, preparing the way for Yahushua. Y'all understand? So this is going on while Esau's empire is going down. So while they're declining, our people are rising. Let's go. Y'all gotta hear what I'm saying. Ephraim of the tribe of Joseph. Understand? So while they're declining, our people are arising, right? They cannot exist in the same estate. I'm gonna show y'all that legend of the Jews, where the Most High told Rebekah, you got two nations in your womb. One will give birth to Solomon, who will build the temple and rule the earth in love and Torah. And I am because we are, but I am because we are. A mindset of Big Mama having Kool-Aid, Aunt Sally having sugar, and the whole community drinking out the same glass. Y'all understand? But not just that. But Esau was the counterpart of he that would give birth to Vespasian, the guy that would destroy the temple, him and Titus, and they would rule the earth after a capitalistic, critical race theory-based society. Now these two ideologies of building the temple, ruling the earth after a family model, and capitalism, America, Edom, that Western mindset, they cannot exist at the same time. This is why you see the decline of NATO, decline of America. They're not advertising it, but it's going on. And the other nations can smell the blood. And our people are finding out our history. We're going back to our heritage. You got Negroes wearing toofies and got beards and fringes on. I'm telling y'all, a nation is rising out of the ashes of our captivity. We saw this in Deborah's song that she sung in Judges chapter 5. Our people in the midst of captivity, in Joel chapter 3, in the midst of captivity are awakening in the same place that they said we are nothing, we are Negroes, we are Spicks, we are Coons. In that same place, the Most High said, you're Zion, you're Judah, you're Benjamin, you're Levi, you're Naphtali, you're Gad, you're Asher, you're Manasseh, you're Ephraim. Understand, in the very place that they sought to destroy us, we're rising, Zion. So when you look at the news, when you look at Ukraine and Russia, what is happening is Russia smells another 2.0 Khazaria. Now y'all got to hear what I'm saying. Now I believe, family, all of this is an orchestrated political event, because when you look at history, something ain't adding up. The Jews of today, these Germanic Ashkenazi Jews coming from Germany, coming from Europe, the Holocaust event, which Hitler, when we get into the Federal Reserve history, was really trying to fight that dragon, that central banking monopoly that the Ashkenazi Rothschild family was spreading throughout Europe. They were trying to come against that thing, right? But the Jews end up orchestrating this political event, gaining the sympathy of the nations, getting to that land in 1948. But when you trace that people before the Germanic period, they were in what used to be Khazaria. Y'all understand? During 700 AD, during 700 or about 745 CE, the Khazarian Empire dominated that area, the Black Sea, the Caspian, that northern European area, right? Russia, that whole area was the Khazarian Empire. A lot of those that converted to Judaism. Now this was King Bulan during 745. He converted his entire people to Judaism. Now they were known as the serpent people. Now this gets into some deep stuff. This gets into those Horites and that seed of the fallen angel that Edomites mixed with, right? That people converted to Judaism, and a lot of those Khazars became the Germanic Jewry that in 1948 went to the land. So what's going on? They're creating another justification to go back to Ukraine. I'm telling y'all what's going on. They are trying to set up another base. Now you can almost see this is the red dragon turning against America and NATO, because what's happening is the Jewish agenda of the Rothschilds is now swinging towards Russia. This whole event of Ukraine suffering and Russia being the bad guys and all this stuff is to justify moving to Ukraine and setting up another Palestine, another Jewish nation. I'm telling y'all, but why are they setting this up? Y'all got to think deep. Now, before I explain why, I'm going to show you a clip by a Palestinian man exposing this entire wicked agenda. Let's check that out.
هؤلاء لا يعترفوا إلا بالقوي. فإذا كانت الأمن الدولة تتعلق بأنه لابد أن يبقوا مع خط الروسي أو على الأقل على الحياد، لا عليهم حتى لو ممكن يضحوا باليهود. حتى المحركة الكاذبة في كتاب لأحد اليهود يقول من قتل اليهود. عرضوا عليهم الآن مقابل $5 من كل يهودي، فنظروا وجدهم معظمهم كبار في السن، قالوا لا نريدهم الآن. يهودي يكتب كتاب نحن من قتلنا اليهود بهالمعنى، يعني لأن رفضنا أن نأتي ب100,000 أو 200,000 يهودي كانوا في ألمانيا مقابل قسم بسيط من $. لكنهم نظرهم يريدوا شباب، ما يريدوا كبار في السن كذا. توجهوا للشرق، الآن يريدوا روسيا وأمريكا تحت الصين، لأن أمريكا أصبحت الآن تخلت عنهم، لأن هذا المشروع قالت لهم باختصار مشروعكم فاشل وفي النهاية ستنتهوا، إن لم يكن العام سيكون العام الذي بعده، ونحن ندعم مشروع فاشل. فالآن هم يبحثوا عن بديل، والبديل هو قد تكون روسيا أو أمريكا، فلا يمكن أن يفسدوا علاقاتهم مع روسيا وأمريكا مقابل حفنة من اليهود يذهبوا إلى الجحيم. أن الآن أصبحت قناعة حتى عند اليهود أنفسهم، من بينهم ليبرمان ونتنياهو، أن فلسطين لا تصلح أن تكون دولة لليهود. والآن أصبحوا يقولوا أن القدس المقدسة هي اللي في أوكرانيا وليست في فلسطين. والآن من المرشح لدولة اليهودية في المستقبل أوكرانيا. ممكن من أسباب الحرب اللي افتعلوها أن تصبح أوكرانيا فارغة. الغرب الآن يا أخي عنده قناعة هذه الدولة زائلة، هاي المشروع فاشل. إذا إيش الحل؟ الحل إذا بدل ما يكون الغرب يتبنى هذه الدولة وأمريكا تتبناه الصين مثلا وروسيا الآن، أو يكون هناك بديل. بل هناك دولة معروفة لدى العالم، دولة يهودية في شرق أوكرانيا، أنا كنت أعرف الرقم 43، هم يقول 200,000 الآن، وعندها استقلال، وما كانوا يحبوا أن ينشروها حتى لا يقال لكم دولة اذهبوا إليها. لماذا تأتوا لفلسطين الآن؟ هي إيش المحركة؟ ليش اللي حصل محركة حقيقة؟ اترك الكلام اللي يقولونه. اليهود عندما قامت الحرب العالمية قسم منهم دخل مع الأمريكان والغرب، وقسم دخل مع ألمانيا. قالوا إذا انتصر الألمان نحن معهم، وإذا انتصر الغرب نحن معهم. فاكتشف هتلر أن هناك ناس يتجسسون جواسيس، فقتل بعضهم، ليس كما يشاع أن مئات الآلاف، وهذا كله كذب. الآن هناك شعار يطرح أن الهيكل والقدس التوراتي وكذا هي في أوكرانيا وليست في فلسطين، وإن عجزوا أن ممكن يقول لك بكرة في هولندا.
So family, you see what's going on. I'm telling you, they know what's going on. They're creating another Jewish state. They're creating a sympathy. You can't even talk against the fabrication of this war on YouTube or on why do they have that kind of censorship? Y'all gotta understand. And I pray the Most High allow this lesson to go forth and that don't no shiesty business go on. Why are they doing this, family? They're doing this. They're making it this whole sympathy thing about Ukraine because they're justifying a geopolitical act. Y'all got to hear what I'm saying. But why? Our people are waking up. They know that nothing can stop y'all's people from getting back to that land. Y'all hear me? Check out those videos. World War III, NATO, all of that. I went into this now. They know that we're getting ready to get back to that land. They have a cave-dwelling backup plan where our people, just like during the time with the Moors, had them dwelling in chains in the clefts of the rock. They are preparing for that thing. Y'all understand? When President Trump signed the 400-year, I think it's HR 1214, the bill commemorating the 400 years of our captivity, the next segment initiated the plans for the Space Force. Now this, you know, they signed the bill way before they kind of do the official ceremony and all that stuff. But this was already in the works. They know that there is getting ready to be a cataclysmic event on a biblical scale, the day of the Most High, y'all hear me, where we going back to Zion. They are already preparing a contingency plan to get into Europe because they know we're going back to Zion. As this sound goes forth, as I reconcile the continent of Africa, as I rally this, I'm just trying to tell y'all, as Israel and the leaders of Zion are rallying Zion, Yoruba, but Ephraim, as this sound is going forward, unifying all of the history of the continent that the colonists, that the European Edomites sought to divide that country like an African pie, and they mixed up the languages. They said, well, this tribe is this tribe is that. Now that the history is saying we're all Moorish Israelites. We're all Moorish Israelites, the whole continent. Some of us practice Islam, some of them are Christian, of course, because the colonists went in there. But the ethnicity of the people is Israel. Now that this is happening, they know it's a matter of time before all of the diaspora is led back to Zion. And they cannot stop the smoke. I got to tell y'all, if only y'all knew your worth. America is the complete antagonist of our people. When you look, I'm gonna break it down. When you look at America's components, when you look at America being a predominantly white Edomite people, a Christian country, and a Western mindset, when you look at what their greatest fear is, this is why 9/11 and all that was political. Their greatest fear is Islam, that represents an Eastern mindset. Their greatest fear is Israel. That's why Christians says that, oh, well, Israel's done away with. You know, God did away with those people, the new covenant, because those three elements, those three fragments are the last remnant of the identity of a people. That when you put all the pieces together, you get a person. Y'all got to hear me. An Israelite by ethnicity that ruled the earth after a Eastern Moorish Islamic mindset. When I say Islamic, I ain't talking about we practice that stuff, but our people did. But this paints the picture of a historical event. When did all of that exist? During the Moorish Empire from 711 CE to 1492, when our people ruled the earth for almost 1,000 years. They were Israelites by ethnicity. Some of them practiced Islam. And they ruled after an Eastern, I am because we are mindset. How do I know this? during the Moorish history. Now I'm gonna show y'all some of this stuff. I got to show you. Oh, I got to. When I show you the Jews and the Moors of Spain, now the Moors of Spain and the Moors during Spain, this is by Stanley Lee. This is one of the leading historical documents of African history. You can check that out on Amazon. But he goes through how the Moors had public restrooms, how they had public libraries, they had central plumbing. When you see people graduate with the all black on, that's a homage to the Moors, and they have the tassels. Now when you look at the fez today that is worn in West Africa, the Igbo wear it, the Moroccan North Africans wear it. Why? Because those Igbo Sephardics, those Yoruba Sephardics came from Morocco. I'm trying to unite our family back together. We were Moorish Israelites, right? This garb that I got on, this Moroccan garb with the fringes on it, this is how our people got down. With the kufi, all of that, with the beard, not eating pork, this is an Eastern mindset. They wanted us to think that Islam, they're the terrorists. These Muslims, they're terrorists. Because they knew that if we got closer to our history, we would encounter the Moorish history. Y'all got to understand, all praises to the Most High Yah. They knew that the closer we got to who we are, we would see why they tried to already have safeguards. First, they got to come against Islam. Then they got to come against, okay, if they find out that they're Israelites, well, Israel's done away with. This is the purpose of Christianity. Then the whole black rallying cry, that Pan-African spirit, they had to make Jesus white, and they had to reinforce a European model by saying that it's unprofessional with dreads and that they're uneducated, being pro-black, and none of that stuff matters, and Christ was white, and the prophets. All of these are institutional safeguards to keep our people from coming together under our history, the Moorish Israelite history. But it's too late, y'all. We see this stuff is already happening. Now I'm gonna show y'all a clip that's gonna go into the Jews and Moors of Spain that talks about the Christian church during the time when the Moors ruled had to come against TORAH. They oppressed the Jews. They were paid 100 days worth. We see that in E.H. Lindo's work. Y'all get these books. E.H. Lindo's work. 1899, I got the stamp from the Harvard Library in the book. He talks about Negroes being burnt at the stake for speaking any heretical doctrine about Judaism or Torah or the kingdom for Israel or coming against the virgin birth. All of that is in the literature. That's where I get these videos from. When you know history, y'all, that's why I'm trying to ingratiate y'all that a lot of this Roman Catholicism was the beast, the European antagonist to the East. The antagonist to the Israelite Moorish sentiment is the Catholic Church. A lot of the doctrines we do, Christmas, Easter, the virgin birth, the Immaculate Conception, these were created to disenfranchise y'all's people from the Mashiach, right? They want to separate Christ from the womb of the people and persecute the woman. We see that great red dragon doing that in Revelation chapter 12. So now I'm gonna show y'all a clip going through this literature showing you the Christian church's whole job was to give our people hell. Let's check that out. Shalom, family. So I'm about to go through some of this literature to reconcile the Moorish history with the history of our forefathers, the history of the Israelites. Now, y'all, this is going to be a series of books I'm going to show you guys. If you guys have any questions about finding these books, most of them should be in the description. All of these are Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge, credible sources verified by more than 2 or 3 other witnesses. Y'all, I believe in credibility. I believe in where 2 or 3 are established, or 2 or 3 are gathered, let everything be established. So family, we're going to start with Rabbi Joseph Kraskoff. He is a Jewish rabbi where he accounts. Now this book, The Jews and Moors in Spain, I found a copy in Harvard, Stanford. This is a very credible source for explaining the persecution that our forefathers went through, those Moorish Israelites that would not convert to Roman Catholicism. That's why I tell you guys, this stuff is an eternal battle against the doctrine of leaven, the doctrine of the Western Roman Catholic or Universal Orthodox Church versus the Israelites keeping Torah and the faith of Yahusha. So now let's start. So the Jews and the Moors in Spain, we're going to start at on page 82. I'm kind of going to read a little bit, you guys. I wanted you guys to kind of see what I'm saying and see this in the book for yourselves. So let's start with let's start on that scarcely. Scarcely was it full grown when it initiated the bloody career of 600 years
let's see, 600 years of a cursed life by a most cruel reign of terror, right? This is talking about what the Christian church would afflict upon the Israelites in the southern provinces of France, where the presence and strength of the heretical Albigenses and where the Moorish and Jewish civilization from across the Pyrenees, Iberian Spain, had made themselves felt. The reign of terror ceased with the extermination of almost the entire population. This is talking about, family, I know y'all can't fathom this, that the Christian church sought to exterminate historically almost half of the entire, no, it says almost, the reign of terror ceased with the extermination of almost the entire population. We don't know the true numbers, family, but the oppression and the opposition that the Christian church gave our Israelite forefathers that would not cede to Roman Catholicism, countless upon countless of them were murdered. A lot of them on Sunday service worship services. Let's keep reading. At last, it found its way to Spain. So it started in France, Upper Europe, where our people were banished out of that area for keeping Torah. We migrated to Spain, later Lower Spain, where Granada is, eventually Morocco, and then West Africa. At last, it found its way to Spain, and in that country, it entered upon a career so infamous that its deeds of ferocity recorded upon the annals of history in letters of blood and fire are not eclipsed by the combined cruelties of all mankind. Here lived and prospered thousands and thousands of Jews in Spanish Iberia, Spanish Spain, or Muslim Spain. When a holy war is waged against the infidel Moors, shall the infidel Jews escape unscathed. When the Blessed Virgin crowns their zeal to their faith by giving them victory after victory over the Moors. You see how the Christians refer to Blessed Virgin when they're talking about their fight against the Moors. That's why I tell y'all, these doctrine, Christmas, Easter, the virgin birth, the Immaculate Conception, this was a European Greco-Roman Zeus style of hijacking our identity and coming against the children of the book, the descendants of Israel, those that kept their culture, kept Torah and the faith of Yahusha. Will she not be angry if the Jews escaped? Talking about Blessed Virgin Mary. Y'all watch this now. When the Moors are put to the edge of the sword, shall the Jews not be committed to the same flames? And we will find, family, historically, they were the same people. Some practiced Islam, some practiced Torah, but ethnically speaking, they were Israelites. The cruelties of the Inquisition were not first, which were visited upon the Jews. Their second series of suffering in Spain began on the day when Christian forces defeated the Moorish army upon the battlefield. The tolerance the Moor could afford to offer to the Jew, the religion of Christ could not. Right? So the Moors were a safe haven. Even those that practiced Islam welcomed in the Israelites practicing Torah. The Aragon, this is King Ferdinand and Isabella, and Castile, it was not a rare sight, or in Aragon and Castile, it was not a rare sight to see the fanatical populace stimulated by the no less fanatical church, the clergy, to make a promoting the prosperity of Spain and of adhering to their inherited belief, breaking into their houses, violating the most private sanctuaries, and co-signing them by the thousands to indiscriminate massacre without regard to the elderly or the young. Right? Hatred of the Jews, y'all, let's check this out. Hatred of the Jews were for many centuries a faithful index of the piety of Christians. So you were more pious by having hatred and cruelty shown to the Israelites. This was the institution of the Roman Catholic Church. Cruel laws were enacted against them. They were prohibited from mingling freely with Christians, from following the trades and professions for which they were best suited by virtue of their high intelligence and thrift. Their residence was restricted within certain prescribed limits of the cities They could only live in certain areas. They were confined to Jewish ghettos. The word ghetto is first used when our forefathers were in Spain and the Jews were confined to poor living conditions. This is why America used that same term. They know who we are. They were held up to continuous public scorn by being compelled to wear a peculiar dress on which was sewed the badge of shame. Even in their executions, they were branded. For a long time, they were hanged between two dogs and with the head facing downwards. Y'all, this stuff was cruel. A choice was given them to escape these sufferings and degradations by entering the religion of love unto all men. Y'all pay attention to the language. This is a Harvard source. When they talk about the Christians warring against our people, they mention Blessed Virgin. Also, they refer to Christianity, the religion of love to all men, because the gospel historically, as given to the Israelites, was for their kingdom, their salvation, us being set above all nations. This is in direct contradiction to the Roman Catholic faith. Thousands upon thousands of Jews availed themselves of this only alternative and became feigned converts or new Christians. So a lot of them faked their conversions, pretended to be Christians. They knew the religion better than the Christians because it came from their history. So they knew how to manipulate the doctrine. They were wise as serpents, y'all. Our people had to navigate. They amply regretted the change later, but at present it seemed to them an almost justifiable state that they had to do it to get by. The preceding chapters have acquainted us with the character of the Spanish Jews, with their high intellectual attainments, with their lofty demeanor, with their high social and political as well as industrial and commercial standing. Think of them now as to sacrifice all these advantages, sacrifice all of their prestige, all of their wealth, all of their knack for business. They had a monopoly on a lot of the finances, even during this time in Spain. They were envied by a lot of different people, right? Specifically the Europeans that saw them as a threat to the entire Christian reign because the iron-handed and iron-hearted brute force of the priests, the Christians, so wanted it. Now let's go down a little bit, family. I could read so much. Y'all have to check this book out by Joseph Christoph. We're gonna go. Let's keep reading. Now, family, on page 84, we're gonna see one of the leading. Inquisitors that was tasked with breaking the Jewish spirit, breaking the Israelite spirit, and forcing them to convert or be put to death. On the 2nd day of January 1481, the Inquisition commenced operation in the city of Seville with Thomas de Torquemada as Inquisitor General of Castile and Aragon. A few years later, it found its way into every prominent town in Spain and confined itself everywhere almost wholly to the Jews. The severity and savage alacrity of it may best be learned, and y'all, I apologize, I'm trying to read it through the camera, may best be learned from the appalling fact that during the 18 years of Torquemada's ministry, an average of more than 6,000 convicted persons suffered yearly from the cruel tribunal by burning or by condemnation condemnation to lifelong slavery or by endless torture, making an average of nearly 17 a day, and the entire number punished during its existence in Spain from 1481 to 1808, amounting to 340,000 of our people, y'all, were tortured with endless torturing, lifelong slavery, right? Burnings at the stake, burnings during Sunday worship. All of this happened because our people were keeping Torah, keeping our heritage. Y'all have to know this history. I can go long and long or in this book, The Jews and the Moors of Spain, but I'm just going to give y'all a glimpse of that. Next, family. Now, when we mentioned the Jews being burned at the stake, when we mentioned them being burned during the time of the Christians and the Inquisition, we're going to see the description of these Jews, these Israelites. Now, in the Jews of Spain and Portugal, E.H. Lindo, this, I'm going to show you guys the Harvard stamp. Now you see, family, I'm going to let it focus. The Harvard College stamp. This book is 1898. I was able to find this old copy from Harvard College. Now, we're going to go to page 352, where it describes a burning of a new Christian, right? One of these Israelites that was suspected of relapse or being exposed as a heretic, keeping Torah undercover. Our people did it behind the scenes. We pretended to be Christians to be able to survive. Now let's read this. In the monastery of Saint Domingo, there was a celebrated chapel called Jesus' Chapel. On the altar was a crucifix having a bit of red glass to represent the wound in his side. So they were supposed fanatics of the Christian faith. The monks, to delude the ignorant populace, caused a candle to cast its light through the glass, which they proclaimed to be a miracle. So they was finessing with these false signs, these false wonders, just like the Christian church does today. A new Christian who was perceived as an imposter and saw that the reflection of the light, who perceived the imposture and saw that the reflection of the light proceeded from the situation of the candle, incautiously made the remark, whereupon they dragged him by the hair. A lot of our people, Nazarenes, would have grown it out, had their locks, killed him, and burned his corpse. While one monk was inveighing or watching from the pulpit, two other Dominicans sailed forth with crucifixes in their hands, exclaiming, "Heresy, heresy," and offered 100 days indulgence, 100 days salary to every Christian who should kill a Jew or anyone who conformed to Judaism. Y'all, this is the gritty history. This is why I make these videos about the virgin birth, the Immaculate Conception, the Holy Trinity. Historically, when you know what has been, you know what is. There's nothing new under the sun. That which is going to be has already been. This has been a war. The Christian church, the Roman Catholic faith, is the direct antagonist to our people in rulership and our people keeping our culture. Now, y'all watch this. They soon collected a mob, which was increased by a number of Dutch and Danish sailors who landed from their vessels. Now, this is a Harvard book. I got to remind y'all, I showed y'all the Harvard stamp. From their vessels, then lying in Targus. They slew and mangled their victims, casting many of them while they were still alive into the fires. The Negroes and vilest rabble had kindled at the church doors. Whoa, let's read it. They slew and mangled their victims, casting many while they were still living into the fires. The Negroes. Whoa. Didn't he just say who should kill a Jew or anyone who conformed to Judaism? Wait a second. The fires? Are the people being cast into the fires? The Negroes? Harvard stamp. Y'all, I'm telling you. So this Harvard book is showing you that the Roman Catholic Christian Church, I done told y'all, was burning Negroes at the stake, killing them in the name of Christ with crucifixes in their hands, blessing Virgin Mary. Y'all got to hear me. All of this to keep our people from keeping our law. Y'all, this is that red dragon that persecutes the woman that gave birth to the man-child. This is a spirit under a strong delusion of deception that Christianity is the true faith, when in fact it is the great deception. So y'all, I showed y'all the Harvard stamp in that book. I got to show y'all these things. Also, I'm going to show y'all some of these books that if you guys want to check out, they give you a lot of history on the Moors, on the Jews, our ancestors. Now, one of these books, Jewish Morocco. Now, this is an Oxford text by Emily Gottridge. She talks about a history from pre-Islamic to post-colonial times. That one statement, and if y'all check this book out, she goes into more detail about how the oldest religion in Africa, the oldest religion in Morocco was Judaism before Islam, right? Islam came through Africa and recruited these Israelites that ruled alongside these Islamic Moors during the Dark Ages, right? But ethnically speaking, they all were Israelites, and they knew where the rest of their brethren were, and they swept. Muhammad and the boys swept from Saudi Arabia, swept through from Medina, Afghan, recruited all of these Ephraimite exiles of the Assyrian captivity, and conquered Spain during the time of Al-Andalus, the Moorish Empire that ruled from 738 CE, I believe, to 1492, or 711, I'm sorry. So that goes into the old standing of the Judaistic faith being in Africa, being in Morocco prior to Islam. I showed you guys the Jews and the Moors of Spain, Harvard literature, where the Christian church was oppressing Israelites that were naming their children Hebrew names, that were keeping the Day of Atonement. That's on page 104. 104, I didn't show that part because I got some more literature I want to go through. But page 104, page 84 goes into the Inquisition attacking these Jews, these black Israelites, right? Keeping Torah. Now, the book of the tradition, this is one of the most credible sources that even the Jews cannot deny. Sefer HaKabbalah. This goes through that Sephardic history. Abraham ibn Dahudi. Now, y'all understand. Abraham ibn David, he is one of the Sephardic families of Morocco. He is well attested to being linked to Abraham Ha'afrati, a lot of the El Kahina, Amazigh, noble Israelites of Morocco, and he goes into a lot of the war of Christianity versus Torah. And he shows the tactics that our people used. Our people were intelligent in combating Christendom. We had a certain way to be able to defend our faith, a practice of it. I recommend that book. Now, also, the heresy of politics in the community goes into the Nasi family, that royal princely family of Moorish Israelites that link to Yahya Negro. This is where Negroes are named from. The royal Khan Negas, right? The Nazis were a royal Israelite Moorish people that ruled, that controlled a lot of the finances. When you look at that Yahya Negro family, Yahya bin Yaish, a lot of that Nazi family moved to Africa or deeper into Africa, first starting in Morocco, then they settled in the Nigeria, West African area. This is what a lot of Igbos attest to. A lot of Yorubas go into that history, specifically the Yoruba Bani Ephraim, which we see in Dr. Tudor Parfit's book. Now, y'all, I'm looking through a camera trying to do this, but basically in Tudor Parfit's book, he talks about those Yoruba Bani Ephraim, descendants of these Moroccan Israelites that were banished out of Spain. Also, Stanley Lee and the Moors after Spain. It's so many sources, y'all. The story of the Moors in Spain. I showed you guys J.A. Rogers, who also talks about the Yahya Negro, these dark Sephardic Israelites. I showed you guys Harvard, that they were burned on Sunday services. That's why we ain't no Christians, y'all. We Israelites. I'm telling you, all of these tenets. I know it was rough to go through their virgin birth, but I'm trying to help y'all. There's so much history that I couldn't do enough videos, and I'm trying to go back through and do part 3s to explain the Immaculate Conception in more detail. But it's so much history, y'all. Light and Truth, going back to the 1800s, talks about Moors being linked to Israelites. Now I'm gonna put those on the screen, these books that I'm showing you guys through the footage. Also, the Critical Annals of Literature talks about how when the Israelites were banished out of Spain and Portugal, that they were despised even by their own people, even by the very same Negroes. It is stated in this book as well. So with that, family, we're going to go back to the lesson, and I'm going to go more in detail connecting the Moors, the Israelites, and the resurrection of Al-Andalus 2.0, the Moorish Empire, y'all. The Moorish Israelite Empire. We are in that season, family. We're seeing the end of the end of Esau, the end of the European power construct, and the restoration, the resurrection of Zion and our people ruling world without end. So with that, family, peace, love, and blessings. Let's get back to the lesson. Family, now I forgot to mention the Encyclopedia of the Jewish Diaspora. Y'all, there is so much meat in this book. That's why I mention it in almost every video to show y'all that these scholars know this book or know this history. When you look at this book in a bookstore and you see these white folks, you will be turned off. A lot of our people would not think to buy this book or read it, but I'm telling y'all, they have hijacked our identity. Just like our forefather Jacob dressed up like Esau to get the blessing, Esau went tit for tat. It's this eternal battle. Now in this era, Esau is trying to look like Jacob, got a woolly sticking up thing on his head, trying to have locks, wear him all black, right? But underneath their Esau, underneath they have hijacked our culture. Now let's look at what they know about African Jewry, African history. It's going to connect the Moorish history and the Israelites, the B'nai Ephraim, all of that. Let's look at it. So family, on page, where am I? Whatever that Roman numeral is, it's a XXV, what is that? 26. So I guess it's 27. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. But let's look at Africa, the Jews in Africa. Now, it's going to go through a lot of Sephardic history. Now, let's see. According to Jewish biblical tradition, Jews descended from the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and they went to Egypt. So the scholars already know off the rip, our people were known for being in Egypt. Christ fled into Egypt. Paul was mistaken as an Egyptian. Y'all, so much history of us sojourning in Africa. They were later expelled, passing through the desert on their way to Palestine or Canaan, which was periodically occupied by the pharaohs. Whoa. The Middle East was occupied by the pharaohs? I'm telling you, there's North African presence, E1B1B, E1B1A, in the Middle East. Survivors of the destruction of the first temple by Nebuchadnezzar founded a Jewish military colony in Egypt. Now, we also know that the Nazi family traced their pedigree to David and that first temple event. In the 4th century BCE, after Alexander the Great's conquest, more extensive Jewish settlement occurred. He invited Jews to settle in Alexandria, so he invited them into Africa, which became a cultural center. The Old Testament was translated into Greek, the Septuagint translation, so they were getting our history while we were blending in with theirs and going deeper into Africa. By the 2nd century BCE, Cyrene and Carthage had Jewish settlement. Some Jewish traditions remain in this area. During the Roman times, Jews were noted as far west as Gibraltar. This goes into the Sephardic family. These were African people. These were Israelite people. And they had significant political and economic importance. At times, this led to clashes with their neighbors, as in Alexandria. Jerusalem fell in 70 AD, and zealots fled to Egypt. All those rebel rousers, all those Judeans by birth, all those Essenes, they went to Africa, y'all, where they fermented a Jewish revolt. This is going to get to El Kahina that I'm going to talk about, the Ephrati resistance to Rome. They captured large parts of the countryside, but not any urban areas. The Romans suppressed these uprisings. There was a war between the dragon and our people in Africa. During the Great Revolt of 117 CE, uprisings spread along North Africa as far as Cyrene. Israelites, y'all keep in mind, these are Israelites. And at times, large areas of Egypt were under Jewish control. I repeat, Africa was under Israelite control. So y'all don't get confused about what, Ham, Shem, Japheth. Esau mixed with Japheth and Shem mixed with Ham. So Shem dominated on both fronts. This is why Noah blessed the God of Shem, because Shem's people would dominate Ham and Japheth. They would dominate Japheth through Esau and Ham through Israel. So our people controlled Egypt, controlled Africa, before the revolt violently was suppressed by the Romans, the Edomites. With the rise of Christianity, further anti-Jewish riots occurred in Alexandria in Africa. In the 6th century, the Byzantines reoccupied North Africa and further suppressed the Jews. So they suppressed the Israelites in North Africa, and the Romans eventually were able to dominate that North African region. I'm going to show y'all something about a CDC that they have tried to disenfranchise our people from North Africa, which is our history, which is our Moorish Israelite Ephrati history. But this goes back to when they dominated that region. So now y'all, let's keep reading. I know this is a lot. I'm trying to get as much information as I can to you guys. And a lot of y'all that may not be able to get these books, I try to cover it extensively to give y'all's birthright. Now let's see. The ancient links between the Jews from Ethiopia and active Jewish proselytizing on the coast and in the interior left Jewish tradition practice among the Ethiopians Beta Israel, King Menelik, the descendant of Solomon and Queen of Sheba. The Berbers, the Amazigh Ha'afrati family. And they say, and some African tribes. It's a lot of them. The Limba, you got the Igbo, you got the Ashanti, the Gadambe, you got the Ewe, you got the Mandingo, you got the Yoruba, you got the Fang, you got the Wolof. Y'all don't get me started on African sub-Saharan Jewry. And the 7th century, Arab invaders record only small scattered Jewish communities. Y'all, when Esau was saying it ain't that many in Africa, you got to look at the context to start adding this stuff up for yourself, because when you look at all these people they gonna name, you're gonna be like, wait a second, that's a lot of people. All right, now let's keep reading. And these lost the Greco-Roman influence and became Arabicized. So some of our people got caught up in Islam. This is gonna go through that Muslim Islamic side, right? Whereas a lot of our people converted to Islam, that wood and stone of Christianity and of Islam, right? In Egypt, Old Cairo was a Jewish town. In Tunisia, Karian was a main center of rabbinic teaching from about 200 years, 8th to 11th century, or about 300. Documents saved in Cairo describe the religious and social life of the Jews of this era. Now let's scroll down. In the 11th century, under Muslim rule, conditions of the Jews were pretty good, but there were times of persecution. Some of those Islamicized Israelites wanted everybody to be in Islam. And we have some of that going on today, y'all. A lot of that, really. The Almohad Arabs in the 12th century prohibited the practice of Judaism in Morocco, which was the oldest religion in Morocco. El Kahina, Abraham Ha'afrati. We saw this in the Jewish Virtual Library. We saw this with the Cambridge source about the Yoruba Bani Ephraim coming from Morocco. Forcible conversion to Islam occurred. Numerous Jews, Moses Maimonides, went east to Egypt. Some of them went north. Some of them went deeper south to get out of Morocco, which used to be the center of Jewry. Now, they say about 350,000 of them were taken to Israel, y'all. It's a lot of deception going on in that. But I just wanted to kind of show y'all this Muslim connection. Now, slightly better conditions prevailed in Egypt and the Northeast, especially Turkish domination. North African Jews emerged from the almost medieval status of Iberian Spain with growing European influence from the early 1800s in Algeria to Morocco, right? A number of groups throughout Africa claimed links to this event, historical links with these Jews. The most feasible that they want to accept is the Beta Israel of Ethiopia. They had 3 separate airlifts I talked about, recognized by the Israeli government as Jews. Wait a second, the Ethiopians recognized in 1975, and many were airlifted. Like I told y'all, they had 3 separate airlifts. The Israeli Sephardic chief rabbi decided they were descendants of the lost tribes. This means Ephraim. Ephraim was the royal family of the lost tribes. They're trying to say that these Israelites were northern kingdom. So probably from the tribe of Dan, because you know they want to just throw Dan under the bus and they want to just associate us with that. Reinforced by many centuries of rabbinic response that discuss these issues. But historical and DNA evidence suggests different origins. This is because when they do the DNA of these Israelite tribes in Africa, they're going to be some subgroup of haplogroup E. E1A, E1B1A. A lot of these different African groups, most of them are E1B1A. The practices of the Beta Israel differ significantly from the house of other forms of Judaism. For instance, they do not celebrate Purim and Hanukkah, our feast of dedication. The Limba tribe, y'all check out that Limba video, live in Transvaal in southern Africa. They were a migrant group that, according to oral tradition, originated in Yemen, right? Now this makes sense. Even the Yorubas claim coming from Medina, coming from Saudi, coming from that eastern area during the fall of the Assyrians. The Limba are a little bit different. They trace during the time of the fall of the temple in 70 CE, but there's so many migrations, y'all, of Israelites going into Africa at different periods that it can get overwhelming with just how many different groups went deeper into the continent. Now, the Limba have some Jewish practices, a lot of them, y'all. We saw that documentary. Such as constraints on intermarriage, right? With non-Limba, they said, stay with your people, invest in the stock of your people. And they have a Y DNA linked to the Kohanim, the Aaronic priest, right? There's a Y chromosome known as the coimmodal haplotype. You will see when they tested their E1B1, or they tested their DNA, it was E1B1A. Now let's read this, y'all. In Mali, several thousand people in Timbuktu claim some form of Jewish ancestry. Moors, Israelites fleeing persecution in Spain migrated south in the 4th century to Timbuktu, a part of the Songhai Empire. When you look at the Mali Empire, the Mali dynasty, the Songhai Empire, these were Israelite empires. I repeat, these West African empires, the Songhai, the Mali, were Israelite people by ethnicity. A lot of them practiced Islam, but you have to separate the religion from the ethnicity. Sometimes they're the same, most of the time they're not. Especially with our people fleeing persecution and being banned from keeping certain tenets of Torah, a lot of them adopted Islam. So among them was the Kati or the Kahath family, who founded 3 villages that still exist near Timbuktu. Askia Muhammad came to power in 1492 and forced the Israelites to convert to Islam or leave. This is why you can't let the religion be a stumbling block. A lot of them practice Islam, but most of them show their history. If they practice Islam, this can be linked to an event that happened where Islam was forced on Jews. So if anything, the more Islamic African tribes prove they are actually Israelites when you look at the history. After this Judaism became illegal in Mali. In Nigeria, the Igbo may be descended, look how they try to be crafty in case we read it, from the southern and westward migrations. Wait, westward? Beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, across the rivers of Ethiopia, beyond on the opposite side, which is West Africa. They may be descended from these southern and westward migrations to the Gold Coast, to Nigeria, of ancient Shemitic, i.e. Israelite people, so we can't be anti-Shemitic, and later Jewish peoples from the Middle East into West Africa. There are 3 groups: the Beni Gad, who are said to be descended from the tribe of Gad, the 8th son of Jacob; Beni Zebulun, from the tribe of Zebulun, the 5th son of Jacob; and the Beni Manasseh. Okay, now this is Manasseh, who was one of the 2 sons of Joseph, those 2 components of the tribe of Joseph. The other component, the Beni Ephraim, are different from these other Nigerian Israelite groups, as they are strictly, exclusively living among the Yoruba, right? Now, in Western Ghana, the House of Israel community, Sefwi Wiyawaso and Sefwi Swi, claim that their Sefwi ancestors are descendant of Jews who migrated south through the Ivory Coast. Y'all, we got the Abba Judea that they say were founded in 1919. Ugandans who claim Judaism, who claim Judah, right? I ain't talking about Judaism like them Ish people. I'm talking about Torah, descendant from the tribe. We got Somalia, the Hebrew people there. Y'all, we got the tribe of Rusape in Zimbabwe. You got Yemen. Y'all can go through all these things, but I just want you guys to know that they linked that Moorish history, that Islamic history, to these North African, these African Israelite tribes. And this is the Encyclopedia of the Jewish Diaspora. So family, I'm telling you, this stuff is powerful. They do not want us to unify our identity and find out who we are. This is all Bible prophecy. I'm going to show y'all some precepts. So first, in Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4, it says, now this is the Most High talking to Jeremiah, and thou, even yourself, Jeremiah, when you come back through your seed, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave you. You're going to cease to know who you are, Jeremiah. And I will cause you to serve your enemies, Edom, these Christians, these Roman Catholic white folks, in the land which you did not know. For you have kindled a fire in my anger, which will burn forever. The Bible says in Deuteronomy 28, these curses would be upon Yah's people as a sign. Like if I want a Big Mac, I look for the golden arches. The curses are a sign of Yah's people that will plague us forever until we are finally obedient unto our God. Let's keep reading. Now let's look back in the curses. Let's look back in Deuteronomy 28 where we see this. Specifically, let's go to Deuteronomy 32 verse 26 where it says, I said I would scatter them unto the corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease among men. Y'all understand? The Most High, a part of the discipline to our people, said he would scatter our people. This is why you see where they say the limba, that they are not lost, they are scattered. They know the history, that we will be scattered, we will lose our history, we would serve our enemies in the land of our captivity, our remembrance would cease. So when Christians say, when did it say that that was going to happen? How is the gospel awakening Israel? They didn't need to be awakened. Understand, this working had been going on for a long time, and Israel knew that. This is why the religious leaders were proselytizing, converting other Israelites back to Torah. So this was the mission of Yahushua. We see in Matthew 1:21, he was coming to save his people. We see in Matthew 15:24, he came to save the lost sheep of the house of Israel. We see in Luke 1:68 through 72, that he came to redeem Israel and to deliver us from our enemies, that we might keep our cultural heritage, Torah, without fear. Y'all, it's so many scriptures. In 1 Peter, he talks about how he was sent to the lost sheep. And James, the brother of Yahushua, says the same thing. So this was well known that Israel had been Hellenized going back to the time of the Greeks. Now, family, I'm going to show y'all this Moorish history a little bit more in detail. So now when you look, they had to destroy us. They had to destroy the Moorish history, the Israelite history, and whitewash everything under Christianity. Now, the CDC, I'm going to show y'all that C, says that according to their racial bylaws, a person is considered white if they're from the North or the Middle East, Northeast Africa, or North Africa. I'm going to put it on the screen. We wanted to separate the continent. Now, how is somebody from North Africa or the Middle East termed white? Any of those Israelites that came to the Americas, they had to put on their applications white, right? Now, I can show y'all a clip where a black brother, a black Israelite brother, identified as black and was a practicing Israelite from Palestine. They made this brother to maintain his citizenship, and they were giving loans for them to come over. On their applications, they have to say white. Esau is doing some crafty stuff, y'all, to be able to create a census that makes it look like our people don't exist, that his history is gone, when they know the truth. I'm telling y'all, they want to whitewash all of our history, separate the West African, the Sub-Saharan Negro from North Africa and from the Middle East. See, to separate us from the Middle East, you have to separate us from North Africa. There's layers to the safeguards, y'all. They said, well, we got to make sure we got to say the Egyptians are white, because if they read that Moses was mistaken as one, Joseph couldn't be identified by his brother, Christ went into Egypt, Paul was mistaken as an Egyptian. We have to separate. We have to deal with these safeguards. So not just that, family. We're going to go deeper. I'm going to show you guys the Ephraimite Moors. Let me show you what these Moors teach. Let me show you a little bit of that. Now, when you look at the Ephraimite Moors, now I got this off of the Kingdom Ministries International, a Moorish organization. Now, if we look at some of their Q&A, they believe in the Most High Yah. The Elohim was the creator of the universe. Can we see him? No. Now, they go through a lot of their different tenets. But what I want to look at is the noble Drew Ali, who was said to be the first American-born prophet to the Asiatics. Now, this goes into Ephrati, the Book of Ruth, a lot of that Moab Ephraimite touch that was going on when our people had to leave Bethlehem, Ha-Ephrati, and go to Asia, right? And then they would come back to the land. Now, that whole story is shown in the Book of Ruth, where you have these Ephrathites that married these Asiatics. They mixed in, and this is where that history comes from. This is a part of the lineage of David with that mixture, because he was a descendant of Jesse the Ephrathite, the mixture of that lineage with the Asiatic Moabs. Now, that's a whole separate video. So we see that the word noble, when you hear Moors talking about noble, like the noble Drew Ali, means high in character, free in mind, body, and spirit. Now, that whole free concept, that noble concept, comes from the Amazaic, meaning nobleman, right? Now, let's see something about the David line. I'm going to show y'all something. If you search Nasi, right? Now, this is a Wikipedia article I found. Now, how the word Nasi means prince or president in modern Hebrew. Now, we see historically that the Nasi family was the royal Sephardic family during the time of the Moorish reign in Spain. Now, the word Nasi has to do with prince. We see it applied to Ishmael initially, and when it's applied to Israel, we see this first used with Nazir, applying to Joseph when he became the prince of his brethren. Now, the reason I bring this up is if you search noble, you will see how this term Nasi was applied to the most noble and richest families of Israel. Now let's continue. Now if you go to the Davidic line, you see the Davidic line refers to the lineage of Israelite King David through texts in the Hebrew Bible, the New Testament, and through the succeeding centuries. In Judaism, Christianity, it was the bloodline from which the Hebrew Messiah had a patrilineal descent. Now check this out. Now if we search, you see that these David, this royal David family, this Nasi family were known as Fremen. If you go back to the Moorish website, the word noble means free men. The Amazigh title that refers to these Berbers, these Ephrati people, we saw this y'all with the Yoruba or tradition verified by Cambridge. Those related to the David family, we find after the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, we find them in Morocco. So this coincides with the Yoruba or tradition that first they were in Spain, they were banished to Morocco, and later migrated deeper into the Gold Coast of West Africa. Most of our people come from these Nigerian people. The major groups of the Nigeria, the Yoruba, the Igbo, and the Hausa, all have oral traditions going back to Israel. The majority of our people go to the Yoruba or the Igbo. That's why I'm highlighting the Yoruba, right? So we see, family, that we find that David family in Morocco. We find that Sephardic royal family in Morocco, and I just showed you guys that through the DavidicDynasty.org. So now we got the oral tradition. That oral tradition is verified by Cambridge. Ulysses Santa Maria also talks about in southern Nigeria, the natives called black Jews the strange people or the Imo Yokwayim. Now, so you had Hamitic natives that knew about these Israelites that lived in Nigeria. Not just that, but you also had other Israelites that called them strange because some of our people were practicing Islam, right? So this is verified by Cambridge, the Cambridge University Press, about the B'nai Ephraim or the Imo Yokwayim, right? They are called B'nai Ephraim, the sons of Ephraim. So y'all, it's fact on top of fact. I'm gonna show you guys also that Jewish Encyclopedia clip that also says this exact same information. Now let's go into the scientific side of it. Now, if you guys did your deal, we also see that even before the first temple, you had Israelites in Africa, in Morocco, from Eretz Israel. You had African Israelites that had been there way back during the first temple. Now it says a Jewish kingdom was set up there in Morocco, which was governed by the Afriat family, then named Ephrati. So we see this connection with the Moorish history, the Moors that claim Moroccan heritage, right? A lot of those Moroccan Moors were Israelites that set up a Jewish kingdom before Islam and was governed by the Afriat family. Now we see that when Islam spread through Africa, that a lot of these Jews were made to convert to Islam. And this is why a lot of our forefathers practice Islam to this day. From a lot of that spread of Islam going through Africa. But originally, there was an old Jewish kingdom set up in Africa by the Afriat family, the Ephrati family, and Afriat, where you're getting Afri, are the people of Africa. Verified by Cambridge about them coming from Morocco, tribe of Ephraim. We saw Wifran on the Jewish Virtual Library, going back to Abraham Ha'afrati, El Kahina. We're going to read about that. So now let's go to the Ephraimite Moors. And we're going to scroll down a little bit where it talks about these Moorish Ephraimites. And they called their Ephraimite queen Kahina. Now, if you look up the definition of the name of Africa, it comes from the Banu Ephraim, the children of Afri, those that gave the Romans opposition, y'all. When the Romans came into the continent, the first people they met were these ancient Jewish Moroccans that gave them hell. Now, during this time, they referred to these people as Afrikani, right? The people of Afri, the people of the Banu Afri, because El Kahina, the Ephraimite queen, the Moorish Ephraimite queen, led the resistance against them. Y'all, I showed y'all the Tel Aviv library source the Jewish virtual library, the Yoruba or tradition. All of this is African history, Israelite Moorish history. I'm telling y'all, I can go deeper and deeper into this stuff. So y'all, I hope y'all learned something. I know it's been action-packed. I had so much more I wanted to give you guys, but I just, for time constraints, I'm gonna have to do a follow-up. But y'all, I hope you took notes. Our identity as Moorish Israelites is the next world to come. Similar to the previous Al-Andalus, we see the fall of Edom and the rise of the beast in the east. Let's go! And I'm talking about the Israelites, the African Israelite people, the Mbutu, the I am because we are, the resurrected King David, all of this family. We are witnessing us getting ready to go back to Zion. I just had to share that word with y'all. So peace, love, blessings, and Israelite Moorish power to all the kings and queens of Zion. I love y'all with the love of the Messiah. Peace, love, and blessings. Shalom. All praises.